Brought to you by Penguin.
The Brain at Rest. Written and read by me, Joseph Jebelli. Introduction. The Resting Brain. What your brain is up to when you think you're doing nothing. Abul Faz was 6 years old when he first understood kar, Farsi for work. Standing beside his mother under the domed arches of Tehran's Grand Bazaar, he sensed it was important, something noble. Kar tajast, his mother would say. Work is a crown. Around them, merchants worked tirelessly to sell everything from fruits and nuts to handmade leather shoes, delicious spices, wooden abacuses, and exquisite hand-woven Persian rugs. Old men sat cross-legged on cushioned corners, sipping tea through cubes of sugar and sharing stories of Persian kings and poets. Later, when he was a bit older, Abul Faz heard his father snoring through a long midday nap and felt compelled to wake him. He approached the bedroom door and reached for the handle, only to be met with a hand blocking his way. His mother gazed at him with an intensity he remembers to this day. "Estirahat karad ast," she said firmly. Rest is wisdom. 15 years later, Abul Faz is sitting in a small office cubicle in a high-rise tower on the outskirts of Bristol, England. The 1980s had swept him, like many of his compatriots, into a vast Iranian diaspora. With a mind for mathematics, he secured a job in computer programming, got married, had 2 children, and set out to make his family in Iran proud. His days were long, punctuated by tapping keyboards, shuffling papers, and an unmistakable feeling of being watched. Interactions were minimal, often limited to terse emails and brief, impersonal meetings. The storytelling tea breaks he'd witnessed in Iran were replaced with lone trips to a vending machine or quick chats by a kettle in a cramped kitchen. This new world was efficient, yes, but desolate. Time passed slowly, weeks blending into months, months into years. Before long, the soul-crushing monotony and exhausting tasks began to erode his mental health. What was meant to be a dream of a better life in England gradually morphed into a waking nightmare of stress and burnout. The breaking point came one ordinary afternoon, 2 decades into his career, when Abul Faz, my father, came home early from another grueling day at the office. I was just 14 at the time and could sense something amiss the moment he walked through the door. His usual tired smile was gone, replaced with a look of panic and overwhelming sorrow. What happened next is a blur, but I do remember a shouting I had never heard before. Frantic, confused, and gravely depressed, he unleashed his frustrations on my mother, who, struggling with her own work burnout, tried to calm him down. "You just need to rest, Ab," I remember her saying through tears. "I don't even know how to rest anymore," he hurled back. A smashing sound erupted. I'm ashamed to admit it now, but I was so scared I grabbed my bike and fled. The next day, my father quit work and never went back. The doctor diagnosed him with major depressive disorder, likely caused by overwork and burnout, handed him some pills and told him to find time to rest. Truly rest. Now he sleeps through most mornings, says very little, does very little, and tries to manage his condition one day at a time. All because he couldn't heed his mother's advice to lay down the crown and rest. It took me a long time to realize the importance of rest. When I was a research scientist at the University of Washington, I would spend my days conducting lab experiments, writing papers, and mentoring students, finishing at 7 p.m., only to head straight to a nearby coffee shop and work on grants on my first book until 10 or 11. It was exhausting, with my goals always seeming just out of reach. I often felt totally wiped out. Looking back, I can see I was forcing myself to take on such a heavy workload because I felt an immense, self-imposed pressure to achieve. It was making me pretty miserable, but I was in that phase of my life when all the old formulas seemed so relevant. You think that the faster you run, the better you're going to do, that if you work harder and harder, you'll succeed. Unsurprisingly, this way of life took its toll on my mental and physical health. My memory, focus, creativity, and cognitive abilities faded.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?